Hello students, welcome to BioSmart Academy. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about a very important topic, that is active transport. Okay, active transport. Okay. So before I start this lecture, I just recommend you to please subscribe BioSmart Academy YouTube channel, as this YouTube channel provides you free online lecture strictly according to syllabus of the CSI, NET, GATE, DBT and ICMR. And within a month of within a 6 month of period time, I will cover as much as possible. I will cover all the important modules and all the important topics. So please subscribe this channel and please share this YouTube channel as much as possible to every students, to all and every students who are basically preparing for all this examination. Please share this channel, okay, and subscribe. So let's start today's lecture, that is active transport. Okay, as in the previous lectures I already completed the passive transport. Okay, as I already told you that transport is basically of two types. Okay, transport is two types. One is passive transport, and one is active transport. Okay, one is active transport. So in the previous lectures I already completed the passive transport in a brief way, in a described way. I completed the passive transport. Okay, in the previous 3 to 4 lectures I covered the total passive transport part. Okay, so if you don't see that lectures, then please go and watch that lectures. You will find on my YouTube channel in the cell biology playlist. Okay, now in today's lecture we are going to discuss about active transport. Okay, we are going to discuss about the active transport system. Okay, so let's start. See, active transport basically occur against the concentration gradient. Okay, active transport occur against the concentration gradient. Okay, as the name suggests, that is active transport. Okay, that is active transport. Okay, what does it means? It basically means that requires energy, that is require energy. Okay, that it require energy. Okay, so basically active transport basically means it require energy. Clear? And in case of passive transport, basically energy is not required. Okay, basically energy was not required. The transport is there, but it was along the concentration gradient. Okay, but in case of active transport, the transport is basically against the concentration gradient. Okay, transport is basically against the concentration gradient, okay, against the concentration gradient. So this is a major difference between active and passive transport. Okay, in passive transport, the transport is along the concentration gradient, while is active transport, the transport is against the concentration gradient. That means it requires energy. Okay, it requires energy, and when basically it requires energy, then in this case the entropy, that is del S, is just become negative. The entropy become negative. Okay, the entropy, that is del S, become negative, or you can say decrease. Okay, you can say decrease in case of active transport. Okay, in case of active transport, the entropy become decrease. Okay, the del S or entropy is decrease. Clear? So this is about the active transport. Okay, now let's read the PPT. See, in this case metabolic energy is used, okay, to move ions and molecules against a concentration gradient. Okay, and the main important point is that in case of active transport as well, it was mediated by carrier protein. Okay, it was mediated by carrier proteins. Okay, but in case of active transport, this carrier protein is used energy, that is ATP. These carrier proteins are used energy, that is ATP. Okay, but in case of passive transport, there is a type in passive transport, as I already mentioned in the previous lecture, that in case of facilitated diffusion, the carrier proteins are used. But in that case it does not require ATP. But in case of active transport, the carrier proteins are basically required ATP. The carrier protein basically required is ATP. Okay, the carrier protein basically required ATP in case of active transport. Okay, while in case of passive transport, there the facilitated diffusion basically use this carrier transport mechanism for transport of ions and molecules, but in case of passive transport, that is facilitated diffusion, no ATP is required. No ATP is required. But in case of active transport, these carrier proteins basically required ATP. With the help of ATP, this carrier protein basically transport ions and molecules. Okay. Now, active transport is different from carrier protein mediated by facilitated diffusion. Okay, as I already mentioned, why it is different. Okay, next, see, active transport is basically of two types. Okay, active transport is basically of two types. Okay, active transport is basically two types. Okay, just I first mentioned the types of active transport. Okay, then I continue the PPT. See, active transport is basically two types. One is primary active transport, one is primary active, one is primary active transport, one is primary active transport, and another one is secondary active transport, another one is secondary active transport. Okay, so active transport is basically of two types. One is primary active transport and another one is secondary active transport. Okay, in case of passive transport, we already seen that passive transport is basically divided into two types. One is simple diffusion, one is facilitated diffusion. But in case of active transport, it is two types. One is primary active transport and one is secondary active transport. Okay, and our main topic of discussion are basically these two types of transport. Okay, we will cover today some part of the primary active transport. Okay, because this primary active transport is basically a huge in itself. Okay, and it's very important from examination point of view. So please note it down, each and everything that I will going to taught in this class. Okay, next, see, let's look at about the primary active transport. See, in case of primary active transport, basically the transport is coupled directly with the metabolic source of energy. Okay, the transport is coupled directly with the metabolic source of energy, that is ATP hydrolysis. Okay, it means when the ATP is hydrolyzed, then the transport is occurred. When the ATP is hydrolyzed, then the transport is occurred. Okay, and in case of bacteria, that I marked in blue marker, that absorption of light by carrier protein, that is in case of halobacteria. Okay, so basically primary active transport is basically also known as direct transport. Okay, because in this case, in primary active transport, it directly coupled with ATP hydrolysis. Okay, it directly coupled with. Okay, let's write in this way: primary active transport. Okay, primary active transport. Okay, primary active transport is directly coupled with ATP hydrolysis. Okay, it directly coupled with ATP hydrolysis. Okay, that is by using the energy of this ATP hydrolysis, it basically transport the substance. Clear? And the best example of primary active transport is, remember this point, sodium potassium ATPase. Okay, sodium potassium ATPase. Okay, is the best example of primary active transport. Okay, sodium potassium ATPase. Clear? So by the use of this sodium potassium ATPase, this primary active transport basically transport 2 potassium inside the cell and 3 potassium outside the cell, that is maintain the balance, that is electrochemical balance. Okay, electrochemical balance. Clear? Let's look at the PPT. So best example is sodium potassium ATPase, as I mentioned, is a most common example of primary active transport. Clear? Next, virtually we all know that in animal cell, the sodium concentration is basically low and potassium concentration is basically high in case of animal cell. Okay, the sodium concentration is low and the potassium concentration is high in case of animal cell. Okay, in case of animal cell, and this imbalance, that sodium concentration is low and potassium concentration is high, is basically maintained by an active transport system in the plasma membrane. Okay, and this active transport system involves the carrier protein, and this active transport system basically involves the carrier protein, and this carrier protein is sodium potassium ATPase, that basically coupled with breakdown of ATP, that's basically coupled with the breakdown of the ATP. Okay, that's basically coupled with the breakdown of ATP. So okay, so this active transport system basically involves the carrier protein, that is basically sodium potassium ATPase, which basically coupled when the ATP is breakdown. Okay, now for each molecule of ATP hydrolyzed, okay, for each molecule, one molecule of ATP hydrolyzed and 2 potassium move inward and 3 sodium move outward. Okay, for each molecule of ATP hydrolyzed. Okay, means 1 ATP is hydrolyzed, that is 1 ATP is hydrolyzed, that is 1 ATP is hydrolyzed, 1 ATP is hydrolyzed, then as a result 2 potassium, 3 sodium, okay, 3 sodium, that is 3 Na plus move outward, as I mentioned this signal, that is outward, and 2 potassium, that is move inward, that is 2 potassium move inward, that is inward. Okay, so when ATP is hydrolyzed. Okay, or you can get this with the help of beautiful diagram of plasma membrane. Okay, just look at this diagram. This is the hydrophilic part of the plasma membrane. Okay, hydrophilic part of the plasma membrane. Okay, hydrophilic part of the plasma membrane, and this will be going to be the hydrophobic part of the plasma membrane. Okay, hydrophobic part of the plasma membrane, hydrophobic part of the plasma membrane. Okay, hydrophobic part of the plasma membrane, this will be the hydrophobic part of the plasma membrane. So by this diagram you can understand the mechanism of transport. Okay, see, so one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed. Okay, one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed here, one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed. Okay, I just write it here. Okay, one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed. Okay, one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed, and when one molecule of this ATP is hydrolyzed, then what happened? 3 sodium move outward. Okay, see, move outward, 3 sodium move outward. Clear? 3 sodium move outward, and 2 potassium move inward. Okay, 2 potassium move inward. Clear? So here this arrow, that is 3 sodium move outward, this arrow represent, that is 3 sodium move outward and 2 potassium move inward, 2 potassium move inward. This arrow represent that 2 potassium move inward when one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed. Okay, so when one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed, 3 sodium move outward as you seen in this figure, and 2 potassium move inward. Okay, 2 potassium move inward as you can see in this figure. So this is the mechanism of when one molecule of ATP is hydrolyzed. Okay, and this 3 sodium move outward and 2 potassium move inward, this all done, this all electrochemical system was maintained by 2 type of subunit that is present. That is what subunit? That is one subunit is alpha subunit and one subunit is beta subunit. Okay, one is alpha and one is beta. Okay, one is alpha subunit and one is beta subunit. Okay, see what happens, this alpha subunit basically responsible for ATP hydrolysis. Okay, the ATP, that is hydrolysis. Okay, one molecule of ATP hydrolysis, and 3 sodium move outward and 2 potassium move inward as I shown in the figure. Okay, so the ATP the alpha subunit basically responsible for this ATP hydrolysis. Clear? And beta subunit is important for correct assembly of the ATPase in the ER, and this beta subunit is basically responsible for correct assembly of the ATPase in the ER, so that this ATPase can break down this ATP, so that this ATPase can break down this ATP, and this ATP was break by alpha subunit, while beta subunit basically assemble this ATPase protein. Okay, alpha subunit break down the ATP, that is ATP hydrolysis, and beta subunit basically assemble this ATPase. Okay, in the ER, and by this the hydrolysis of ATP takes place, and 3 sodium move outward and 2 potassium move inward. Clear? Now, so this is a basic mechanism that is basically play a very important role in primary active transport. Okay, primary active transport. Clear? Now next, now There are some inhibitor which may be asked many times in the question, that give an example of that which one of the following is an inhibitor of the sodium potassium pump, which one of the following inhibitor of the sodium potassium pump. So the main inhibitors of this pump are wabin and digitalis. Okay, wabin and digitalis. What this inhibitor do? This inhibitor basically are cardionic steroids. Okay, these inhibitors are cardionic steroids. Okay, these are basically steroid. Wabin and digitalis. Okay, wabin and digitalis, basically these are the inhibitor of sodium potassium pump. These are basically steroid. Okay, what this compound do? This compound inhibit the dephosphorylation of the sodium potassium pump. Okay, that is, it inhibit the dephosphorylation. Okay, it inhibit the dephosphorylation. Okay, and if dephosphorylation is basically inhibit, then the potassium release will be also inhibit. That function will not occur properly. Okay, function will not occur properly, function will not going to be occur properly. Okay, so basically dephosphorylation is very important. Okay, so there are two types of inhibitor. One is digitalis inhibitor, one is digitalis, one is digitalis, and one is wabin. Okay, one is wabin. Okay, just remember these two name, question will be asked in the examination. Okay, so digitalis and wabin, it inhibit what? It inhibits sodium potassium pump. Okay, it inhibit what? It inhibits sodium potassium pump. Okay, so digitalis and wabin, digitalis and wabin inhibit sodium potassium pump. Okay, this may be asked in the examination. Okay, and these are basically steroid. These are basically steroid, or you can say more specific, these are cardionic steroid. Cardionic steroid. Okay, cardionic steroid means these are basically related to cardiac muscles. Okay, cardiac muscles. Okay, okay, so this is all about this. Okay, next. Yes, there is another inhibitor that basically inhibit the sodium potassium pump. There is another inhibitor that basically inhibit the sodium potassium pump, and that inhibitor is basically palytoxin. What? Palytoxin. What this palytoxin do? Basically it inhibit the function of sodium potassium pump. It inhibit the function of sodium potassium pump. How it inhibit? Okay, how it inhibit the function of sodium potassium pump? Basically it converts sodium potassium pump into non-specific ion channel. Non-specific ion channel, and because of this, sodium potassium ion channel allow the passive transport of both sodium and potassium, and destroying the ion gradient, Okay, because due to the non-specific ion channel, so sodium and potassium basically start to passive transport. Okay, passive transport, and if passive transport occur, means what? Means the imbalance will occur between the potassium and sodium transport, that is 3 potassium sodium move outward and 2 potassium move inward. This imbalance is occur only because of ATP hydrolysis, and if there is no ATP hydrolysis, then this imbalance will be disturbed, and as a result the ion gradient is also destroyed. So this basically done by the inhibitor palytoxin. Okay, please note it down that palytoxin is a non-peptide substance. Clear? Now there is another one thing that I want to discuss, that calcium transport. Okay, calcium transport is also basically similar to this of sodium potassium transport. Okay, calcium is also move across the plasma membrane. By calcium pump, and similarly powered by ATP hydrolysis. Okay, that is, calcium basically move outward by calcium pump, and this also require energy like that of sodium potassium pump. Okay, so you can say that sodium potassium pump, calcium pump, these are all example of primary active transport. Okay, and this all occur by the using of the energy of ATP, that is by the ATP hydrolysis. Okay, and how ATP hydrolysis occur? By a alpha and beta subunit. Okay, and what does they play a role? That I already discussed. Please note it down. Okay, this calcium pump transport calcium out of the cell. Clear? So students, that's all for today's lecture. Okay, tomorrow I will continue this primary active transport. Okay, and I will discuss tomorrow a very major part, that is transport ATPAs. Okay, so please be remain with Biosmart Academy, as it provide you free online lectures strictly according to the CSI net syllabus. If you like the video, hit the like button, share, please share the video as much as possible, and subscribe. Thank you.